This is the Sewing Circle podcast presented by Hanky Code. I'm Rebecca Vanderkoy, here to introduce to you up-and-coming queer artists and the powerful stories behind their work. Today, I am so excited to have Boy Jr. joining us. They are a queer pop rock artist with some 80s vibes as well. So you've been sharing your music on Spotify since 2018.
Yeah.
How long have you been writing and making music?
Since I was like 11.
Wow. So did you always know that this is what you wanted to do then? Or was it kind of like a hobby first and then it sort of developed into what it is now?
A little bit, yeah. I think I knew for a long time that this is where my skills lie, is in creative things. That's when I feel like I'm my most effective and flourishing. Um, I remember I took AP Music Theory in high school. That was the only AP class I ever took. And I was like, wait, can I do this? Like, can I go to school for this? Um, so I feel like that's when I was like, oh, this can be more than just, I can make my hobby into like my career, which is dangerous,
Right.
dangerous territory, but here we are.
Oh, that's really cool though. So how would you say your music style and your writing style, how have those things changed over the years?
A lot. I feel like they're like still changing a lot. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously my sound has changed a lot since 2018 because my voice has dropped and I've gotten better at music production and writing. Um, and like literally right before this call, I was just thinking about how like in my early 20s, so much of my sense of identity as a musician and a writer was centered around like how can I like try my hardest to sound like other people.
right.
Uh, and like I don't think that I fully knew that at the time. Um, but like I think so much of my identity, I think both as like a musician and like a person was just like I see what other people are doing and people like it, so I want to try and emulate that, um, to figure out a version of myself that I like. Um,
No, that
yeah,
absolutely makes sense. I feel like that makes a lot of sense because especially when you're starting out with anything creative.
yeah,
Feel like you're obviously like looking at, your different references and being, it's definitely good to be inspired and influenced by people. But I think especially when you're at the beginning and you're like, I don't even really know who I am.
yeah,
Like you're just going to kind of pull bits and pieces from different people until you like find what sticks.
totally. And sometimes I feel like, oh, it's taken me so long to figure out what I want to be doing. I'm still figuring it out right now. There's, it's so easy to compare myself to other like smaller independent artists and wonder, why I don't like have it or whatever and why I haven't made it or whatever. And then I'm like, well, I haven't been consistently making the same sound or figuring out exactly what I want to be doing or who I want to be. Like
Yeah.
if I had like if I had had something blow up when I was like 20, I wouldn't want to be doing that forever for the rest of my career. Like I want to like explore, and I feel like if that makes me a late bloomer, like it's fine.
Yeah. No, I think there's something to be said for like taking your time and getting to just kind of experiment and like
Yeah,
figure out what is like most authentically you without like being boxed into something that maybe you don't actually want to do
yeah.
long term.
I mean, even with how people are expected to like know what they want to go do for the rest of their life and go off to college when they're like 17 or 18, like that's wild.
Yep.
That's nuts. Why would we expect
No, it's
people in the arts to
crazy.
do that too?
No, I agree with you 100%. So, kind of speaking to that, you've definitely released kind of quite a range of different things. I know you have some new stuff coming.
Yeah.
Is there a project that you're especially like really proud of right now?
Well, I put out an album in October called I Love Getting Dumped, and it is 13 songs that I wrote over the course of like 4 years, all from, different angles of different breakup songs from different relationships and situationship breakups and rejections and stuff like that. Um, And I'm really proud to have that out in the world. It's a really diverse, eclectic album with a lot of I, like time capsules of different points of my life, where I was especially spending a lot of time like coping and processing by experimenting with songwriting and production. Um, and I think though it's some more like emotional subject matter, I feel like it's ultimately a pretty fun piece of work. Um, so I'm very proud for that to be out in the world.
Yeah, no, it's a great project. And I feel like it is also really cool to just like have something that spans that much time and has so much variety.
Yeah,
I'm sure even for you, like just having so many different like seasons of your life in one project has to be like really fulfilling.
yeah. It definitely makes me feel like glad that I did that, and like it feels very symbolic of being able to like kind of like wrap it all up and leave it in
Yeah.
the past and like move on and like grow.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So, switching gears a little, I guess we
Yeah.
kind of just were talking about like with this project, drawing a lot of inspiration from breakups and different things. I'm kind of curious, like across the board, where do you end up drawing inspiration for your work?
Um, my big feelings. um, I literally like started making music and like doing any kind of art because I was always like a very emotional kid. And my mom would tell me often when I was young that I should like put it into a song or a poem or a story. Um, and eventually I did start doing that, and that became like how I would process stuff. Um, I think that has changed somewhat over the years as I've gotten more involved in production. And now a lot of my inspiration, like I'll write a track first. I have a lot of unfinished little instrumental bits and pieces and scraps on various hard drives. Um, and I feel very inspired lately by cool, weird sounds and song structures, and beats and bass parts. Um, and I'm excited to see how that influences like what I wind up making in the coming years. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, that'll be really exciting to see where that goes.
yeah,
And I also definitely can relate to like, I feel like any sort of creative outlet, it can be so good for like processing things and just moving through the world.
yeah,
Like for me, it's not songwriting or like music, but it's, writing. So
yeah.
I feel like it's such like a universal, like this is just, it's a way to kind of navigate through things for sure. So, speaking a little bit more to inspiration, who do you draw inspiration from, whether it be other artists or other people in your life? Yeah, I'm just curious who you draw inspiration from.
Um, I feel like I wind up taking a lot of inspiration, even if not sonically. I think world at like music world outlook. I take a lot of inspiration from other friends and musicians and creators that I've gotten to meet along the way. Um, like I'll shout out Jer, who just released a new song and is putting out an album in August, and we got connected because of TikTok, and pain in my behind as that platform may be constantly and forever. I'm really grateful for the real life connections I've been able to make through it. Um,
Yeah,
and I'm so thankful for like the countless conversations I have gotten to have with them in particular about like uh, God, so many things. Just about like making music that you feel like you put your whole heart into, and knowing that while you may have like this very like holistic practice is like the wrong word, but I mean like something that is so much larger than just like contributing to like the content slop factory. The
yeah,
fact that like everything that we make and all the ideas that we want to express about our music, which is has has like a soul and is meant to be experienced live in person and have a much longer life than like the 24-hour or 48-hour content cycle. Um,
yeah.
the struggles of just still, putting it out there and having to grapple with that. Um, the way that they are making music that is political and is protest music, but is like comes from a place of love and like feels like love when you listen to it really inspires me, and like I think will be inspiring me in the coming years as a writer, as I feel like I am moving away from my desire to only ever write when I feel rejected on a personal level, and I have a lot more thoughts and feelings about things that are more in the realm of like social commentary and like protest music. Um, so I guess especially with the new song that they just put out, the way you tune it out. I was just listening to that today, so that's like very prominently on my mind.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. And I feel like it is like music is such a powerful thing. And sometimes what you'll see happen, like not always, but I definitely think that sometimes with social media, it's like you'll just have like a little snippet
Yeah,
just for the purpose of like going viral without like really, appreciating like the beauty of the full song or the full project or
yeah,
like what this artist is doing. So I definitely like totally hear you when you're saying that. That has to be really hard to navigate.
yeah. It's definitely a whole new component to what it is to be an artist that wasn't even part of the game when I was like going to school for songwriting and like
Right.
focusing on like how to make a song and like take something from just being like an acoustic guitar pop song to like something I felt like I had agency over. Um, Never considered, the idea of like writing for the TikTok algorithm.
Right. No, it's such a wild thing to think about.
Yeah.
So I always like to ask people kind of in the vein of other like influences, what other types of art influence and inspire you?
Oh my god, so much
Like
visual art.
outside of music.
Definitely a lot of
Yeah.
visual art. I draw a lot now. I
Oh,
feel like I've been
cool.
spending a lot more time the last like 2 years drawing than I ever had before. Um, I was just thinking about how I feel like drawing and making songs are like really similar in a lot more ways than I would have thought a couple of years ago. Like especially we were talking about the idea of drawing from other influences, quite literally drawing from other influences, um, and like that's how you make art. You see something that you like, and you sort of synthesize everything that's in your world into something that funnels through your own personal style, ideally, and that's how you participate in the conversation of like being a human being and like seeing art and hearing art and having it elicit an emotion in you, and then putting something back out there, um, which sometimes is in the form of me scrolling through Pinterest and then seeing like a shape that I really like and being like, I wonder if I can draw that, or seeing a color scheme out in the world and I'm like, oh, I want to use that in a drawing. Um, and something clicked in me the other day about like, oh wow, I put so much pressure on myself to like try and emulate other musical styles, but it never comes out quite like the music that I like, and everything just winds up sounding like me, and I'm so tired of this. I always write the same way. I'm so tired of my workflow. Um, and I was like, I don't feel that way about drawing. Like when I draw, I kind of have a little bit of my own sense of a style, mostly because I'm kind of limited in what I can do. Like I draw abstract shapes and like wobbly, colorful shapes, and I do it because I enjoy doing it, and it like is a fun way to pass time. Um, and I spending a lot of time doing both of those things. I hope to find ways that maybe visual art can come to influence my musical art, um, and the other way around.
Yeah, no, that'd be
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah,
I also just think that like a lot of the time, like any sort of creative anything can influence any other creative things that you're
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
Like even if it's not like really like, oh, I'm drawing this because of this song or like vice versa. I
yeah,
feel like there's just like you're creating and therefore
yeah.
they're influencing each other.
Yes, totally, totally. I love that.
Yeah. So, kind of switching gears a little bit, but I'm curious, especially I know you were mentioning protest music. It's kind of the elephant in the room, but maybe not. Just the how things are at the moment. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, what does queerness in your work mean to you today?
Mm. Definitely means something a little bit different today than it did a couple of years ago, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
um,
I'm sure it does.
yeah, I feel like I'm like really in the midst of like figuring that out. Uh, there's like a lot of ways in which I feel like I just started being a person like this year. Uh,
I get that. No, I really get
yeah,
that.
yeah, because like I've been on testosterone for 2 years. I got top surgery a year ago, and I literally like I feel like I was born like this year. Like everything that I'm doing
That makes
now is like,
sense.
yeah, it's like, yes, everything I do and make now is totally an extension of my life pre-transition. Um, but it's wild to be in a place where I'm like, uh, transitioning is no longer like a vague concept that I'm like, oh, maybe someday I'll do that, and like I don't know what I'll do when my voice changes. I'm like,
Right.
I I'm like I'm in a it's a different ball game. um,
Right. Like you're there.
yeah, which is weird. I almost like feel like weird to say that because I feel because it feels very new. Like
Yeah,
even the like just the though my identity has like doesn't necessarily have to be linked to like passing. That's a concept I have for my whole life considered will never apply to me. Even when like the first time I was like questioning my gender identity and thinking about starting testosterone like 10 years ago and did not do it for 8 years. Um, I always saw myself as non-binary and was like, I, I'm sure I'm never going to get to a point where I, I socially live a different life and am perceived differently. I'm also really short, so I'm always like, well, it's not like anybody's like people are always gonna just like think of me as like some weird little thing, um, but they don't know how tall you are when it's a video. And I've had people
that's
tell me I've got
true.
tall guy energy, so thank you.
There you go. A win is a win.
Um, yeah, I always get I get so off topic when I start talking about one thing, but I feel like
No, that's
this is a
okay.
question, this can like lead in so many different directions because
Oh,
this is
yeah.
such a rich question. Um, and I
It can
feel
go
like
any and all
queerness,
directions. That is totally
yes,
fine.
totally. Okay, cool. I feel like queerness has played a very big role in my music, even before I felt like I was being perceived as queer. For a long chunk of my time releasing music, I knew I was a non-binary person who was being perceived as a girl, um,
Right.
despite having the name Boy Junior. Uh, but most of my musical influences when I first started getting serious about writing were male writers, and I used to write rants on social media about like how I felt like being a female artist was so suffocating and limiting, and I would never be seen as the way I wanted to be seen. Um, and I mean, looking back on the things I was writing, was like I was experiencing gender dysphoria, um,
Right.
and didn't really have like the words for it. Um, I was like, all women feel this way, right?
Like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Maybe
Uh,
not.
but I feel like both as just a writer in a vacuum, but also as a writer, a songwriter and an artist who has to put myself in certain boxes or has had to put myself in certain boxes to optimize myself on social media. That's been another really interesting way of how queerness has played a role in how I share my work. Um,
Yeah.
and it's a frustrating piece of it always, even about genre. Just trying to find ways to find tags or keywords to try and um, make these more abstract concepts make sense to people who have not been there from the concept's inception. Um,
Right. Yeah.
and I, in the same way that I've often felt like I don't want my gender to be able to be easily and quickly defined by like a checkbox or a hashtag. I feel that way about music genres, and I like to play all over the place and make stuff that plays around with certain musical expectations and sounds slightly otherworldly while also sounding familiar. Um, and I know for a long time the stuff that I was making was influenced by my queerness because I hadn't transitioned yet, and I just
Hmm.
really wanted to make music where I didn't sound like a girl. Um, and now I don't have to worry about that, and that's really cool.
No, that is really cool. And I also think that like whether it's like with identity or with music, I think so often there's this pressure, especially in terms of social media,
Yeah,
to like fit yourself into a very specific box and like pick a very target audience and have your niche.
totally,
But
totally.
I think it's like really freeing and really wonderful to just be like, you know what? I'm going to allow myself to just like be who I am as a person, but also be who I am as an artist and
Yeah,
like not be like completely confined by this idea of some like social media niche. So I think that's really,
yeah,
really important and really
totally,
cool.
totally. And I wish it was more, I don't know, the norm.
Yeah.
Or I wish it was something I didn't still feel really stressed out about because I'm still, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
It's hard to figure out.
yeah, yeah. There's so many pieces of it. Um, I mean, even with like, it's wild being sort of branded as a queer artist, um, and now realizing that even the brand of being unbrandable is still a brand.
Everything is a brand
Like,
somehow.
yeah, I'm genre fluid and non-binary. So like, what is non-binary music? Literally anything.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I just having just released a song about transition and gender euphoria. I like it's a very weird thing putting something out that is like really vulnerable and like happy and comes from a place of like younger me needed this song. I hope this song finds the people who need it. And
Yeah.
also knowing that it's like this highly politicized issue that I can like bend to my will on social media. Slash, it's a highly politicized issue, and so every post that mentions the word trans like gets shadow banned, and the people who
Yep.
need this are
Yep.
not going to find it. It's enraging. It's like, well, why isn't my trendy like this section is like so good for TikTok? Why is it not taking off on TikTok?
Yeah.
It's
No, that has to be such a difficult thing to navigate. And I also
it's
like
gonna bite sheet metal.
I'm sure. Oh my gosh. No, like it has to be so hard. And I also feel like especially putting out something so vulnerable, but like realizing like, oh my goodness, like this could actually help people. Because I feel like the more artists I talk to, the more like I realize that the more specific and vulnerable something is, the more people resonate with it. Like even if
Yeah,
it's not their like 100% exact experience, like that level of just vulnerability in general, like is something that people feel so seen by. So I really hope
yeah,
that however it happens, whether it's social media or other things, it gets pushed out into the world so people can hear.
yeah. Thank you. Me too.
So we just talked about, your new song, of course, and I'm curious, what else is new and exciting on the horizon for you?
Well, the next song I'm putting out is called "Stupid and Ugly," and it comes out in 5 days. It comes out on June 25th, and very soon on the horizon is a new EP called "I Hate Getting Dumped," which is the follow-up to "I Love Getting Dumped."
Oh my goodness. I'm so
Because
excited to hear it.
I'm just so excited to put it out. I always feel this way. It's like whatever my most recent thing that I made is my favorite song, but I'm like all the songs on here are my favorite songs.
No, but that's exciting though. What I don't know what, if anything, you can say, but what can you say about this project?
I mean, I can technically say whatever I want. I'm independent.
It's
um,
more like what you want to say, I
yeah.
guess.
Um, hey, sometimes you compile 13 breakup songs that happen over the course of 4 years, and then you release the album. Then not even like release the album. This happened like even like before I release the album. Sometimes you like make a breakup album, and then you finish the album, and then you get broken up with again, like several more
Oh,
times.
no.
um, so like
It's rough out here.
yeah, I wrote more breakup songs. And there's one thing on there that's a cover, and one of the songs on there is Zitty Stardust, which is not a breakup song, but it's the last track on the EP, which I feel like is like a very symbolic final, sort of like saying my last piece of like, okay, now I'm turning my attention away from all of the people who like weren't meant to stay in my life and turning it inward.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the stuff that's on, well, pretty much everything on I Love Getting Dumped, was from relationships pre-transition. Um, and I think my relationship to relationships has changed a lot, as I have changed and grown up and become the person that I want
Hmm.
to be. Um, and my sense of self-worth is very different. Um, so the songs the songs on this EP, I feel like they are like my closing statements, for that era of for like the I Love Getting Dumped era. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it really marks a chapter in my life, of being very focused on other people, and winning their approval, and hopefully now moving into an era that is not focused on winning people's approval and is focused on like me living my life and being in community, and trying to make the world suck a little less.
Honestly, I think that's a great mission all around. So before we started recording, you briefly mentioned some kind of a tour and some shows.
Yes.
What can you say about those?
I will be going on the road from August 21st to August 31st. All of the dates are, I mean, you can find everything like on any of my social media. There's the link tree that goes to all the dates. All of the tickets and information are available on Bands in Town. Um, Most of the shows, it's like mostly East Coast and a little bit of Midwest. Um, and I will come to the West Coast finally sometime. I feel like I've been saying this for like
Amazing.
2 years. Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm really gonna do it. I
It'll
really want to
happen.
like come.
I believe I believe in
I
you.
want to tour all over the states.
Yeah.
And like I will. I really will do it. It really will happen. Though it is expensive and kind of scary. I really will do it. But I feel like the way that I'm sort of doing like touring for I Love Getting Dumped and I Hate Getting Dumped is just like it's just going to be different legs of tours.
Yeah.
Um, y'all will get to see the songs played live eventually. I will make it out to your city. I swear to God.
There you go. So, are there any particular songs you either especially enjoy performing live or you're especially like really looking forward to performing live for like the first time?
I'm really excited to do some of this stuff on the EP live. Um, Zitty Stardust has been really nice to do live. I've played it twice or three times now. Um, and like it's really nice singing. Like the bridge is like taking the lyrics from the pre-chorus, which are about like me talking about like how good it feels to wake up and feel like at home in my body and actually like how I sound, in recordings and not feel dysphoric. Um, and the bridge turns it around and is like, you deserve to wake up in a body that's yours. You deserve to get dressed and feel good and feel like yourself. And you deserve to like how you sound in recordings. And it's really nice, like singing. I've done like, I like try like sing each line to a different person in the audience. Um,
Oh, I love
it's
that.
really sweet. It feels really good. It has been, even like I don't know who in the audience is like cis or not, and who like can relate to these lines from a gender euphoria lens or just from the lens of being a person.
Right.
But I really like singing that to anybody and everybody in the room because I think anybody there deserves to feel good. Um, and it's really especially special to connect with other trans people who are there, or anybody who seems to like know the lyrics of the song already, which is really really sweet. To like get to sing that
Yeah,
at
that
each
that
other
has
is
to be
like
so
so
special.
beautiful.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That has to be such a special feeling.
Yeah, and I really look forward to doing that on tour.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join me and chat for a while. I'm so excited to listen to your new stuff, and I
Thank you
can't
so
wait
much
to
for having
see
me.
what's in store for you.
Thank you.
Of course.